All right, so this is John Davis with Action Coach, Davis Business Coaching. I'm here with Michael Bull and Bull Realty, and he's going to share some information about his business and what's going on in the market. So, Michael, if you could just introduce yourself to everybody and what your company does.
Okay. Michael Bull. I'm the CEO of Bull Realty. I founded the company 25 years ago, and we help investors and companies with their commercial real estate needs. And we consult with them and sell them and lease them and help them make commercial real estate decisions. I'm a licensed broker in 9 Southeast states. We have do business all over the country with brokers of records in some of the other states. Last year, we sold 1.9 billion in transactions, and we have about 35 brokers, about 15 staff, and we're celebrating 25 years in business on January 1.
Congratulations. So, what prompted you to get into it 25 years ago?
I was going to school at night and had to work, unfortunately, during the day. And I was out of high school, was doing air conditioning work outside, driving a ditch witch. It was hard.
Great job. It was a great job.
I started asking people, hey, anybody looking? And then a friend's father worked at an apartment rental company. And he said, well, they need somebody to help, lease and run their apartments. And I said, what's the hardest thing you have to do? They said, once a day, take the garbage out to the trash can. I'm like, all right, I want that interview. And so they hired me. I knew nothing about nothing, and they taught me a lot and gave me a great break. And they gave me 3 raises too in the first 4 weeks. So they liked me. Wow. They taught me how to manage apartments. And then another company hired me a couple of years later when that company quit growing and I got bored. And they hired me to run their management company. And I tripled the size of that one and grew them a good bit. And then at 19, got my license and started selling. And
that was all before 19.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So at 19, I'm selling. And at 22, I quit managing properties and went into full-time commission-only sales and focused on apartments. I'm just always like just adding value for people and, just helping people make money and get good properties and getting the right properties for their business. And it's fun to just add value to people and them appreciate it.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. A cool story. Yeah, I remember I used to work outside in a lumberyard. So it was the best thing for me mentally to see the nice houses and work in the outside, in the heat all day. It was strong motivation to do something else. It impacted me for a lifetime, obviously. So commercial real estate, you mentioned 9 states. Who would you characterize as your best customer and or kind of target audience? Like, who would you like to meet?
Yeah, I think there's really 2. One is people who own commercial real estate and land and apartments. We help them buy and sell those properties and help them lease them. And then the other best customer for us is just any company that uses space, that uses real estate, and to help them with their real estate needs. So those are our basic customers.
But buyers and sellers.
And right? And tenants and landlords.
Tenants and landlords and probably some investors as well, right?
Right.
Are there certain industries that you mentioned apartments, but are you in manufacturing or food service or?
Yeah, so we're we refer to them basically as sectors. We have teams that are very focused in different sectors and businesses. So we have brokers who just represent office tenants. That's what they do every second of every day. Mm-hmm. We have a medical office tenant rep who helps medical professionals and companies with their space needs. And then we have an office investment sales group that I lead that we sell office buildings around the country. That we have a retail investment group. We have a single tenant net lease investment group. We have land and developer services that help with land. We have an industrial group. We have a senior housing group that sells senior housing properties. And I might be leaving out some, but our brokers and teams are very focused in one area of this one sector, so that we become very, very efficient and knowledgeable and valuable to clients.
Yeah, I saw that on your website when I was doing some pre-work, right? You had different managers or different brokers in different fields, and that way they're in tune with all the properties that are going on. It always blows me away, even on the residential side. You talk to a residential realtor, and they pretty much know every house for sale in the area, right? And the same thing, you know which buildings are coming and going and expanding, and you really get your the heartbeat, the pulse of
Yeah.
what's going on when you
Yeah.
set it up that way. Um, so the last few years, I mean, you've been running a business for 25 years. So the idea of turmoil and uncertainty is nothing new to you as a business owner. Last few years probably a little more unique than most. I mean, certainly you withstood the 2008, 2009 issues. So credit, credit to you for getting through that. But then the last few years have been different. So what have you done in your business, or what impacts have occurred to your business in the last 3, 4 years that you've had to address?
We actually did really well in the last few years. And, I think when there's a little bit of equilibrium or turmoil in the market, clients look a little closer at who they're picking as their advisors. And, I think what we found in down markets throughout my career and this company's career or lifespan, that when clients look a lot closer at what our competition does and how they do it and how we work and what we do, we win more assignments. So we grow in down markets. We in 2010, for example, we had most of our clients were banks, but we had a tremendous amount of business. And so I think what we've learned is if you hit a cycle like right now, to your point, interest rates have been climbing so quickly. Some investors and sellers are pausing and trying to figure out what's going on with valuations, and some lenders are making underwriting tougher or not doing some sectors. So what we've learned is you got to do more prospecting. You got to contact more clients. You've got to really add value and be very knowledgeable in your market, and just pick up the steam of contacting people to help them. There's still a lot of business out there.
We've mentioned residential real estate, and somebody in my network in my Rotary, she just recently did a discussion about how when things went down in 08 and 09, she still weathered the storm by doing the basics and doing them more often and better than anybody else. And you can still succeed in a down market. You have to return to the fundamentals and just execute, because most everybody else is terrified, scared, and making irrational decisions. So that's part of what I heard in that answer. And the other is you must have something that's unique. We call it a unique selling proposition. There must be something where you have a strength compared to others in your space that you're able to demonstrate. Because you're right. If I needed to sell right now, I probably wouldn't want to sell right now because of what's going on. But if I needed to, I want to make damn sure I'm working with somebody who knows what they're doing, because I can't afford to sit on the market for 3 months and have something not happen because it was marketed incorrectly or priced incorrectly. So you must have something unique about your business. How would you characterize that allows you to succeed in the down market?
Well, when I started the company, I didn't really want to run a company. I wanted to work at a place as an agent that was known for integrity. I found some of my friends at the big shops, some of the brokers in their companies weren't doing things the way I'd want them done if I was the client. I just thought some of it lacked integrity. So I wanted to work at a company that was number one, known for integrity. And then number two, was known for the best disposition marketing in the country. So those kind of drive us to start the company and drive us as we make day-to-day decisions to improve, our services. And so I think, what our unique value proposition is for clients really depends on the sector and the service. But I would say on the smaller properties, 5 million and under, We have the best disposition marketing in the country, hands down, no doubt.
What do you
We
mean by
use
disposition marketing?
selling buildings, selling land, apartments, and commercial properties. If anyone wants to sell a property in the Southeast U.S., we're just damn good at it, and we do it the way I'd want it done if I was the seller. There's a lot of mistakes made by companies that are very big that just bewilders me why they would do it. Some of you even admit that they do it wrong. That one of the mistakes is I'd call trickle marketing, where you go to a small group of buyers for an asset. If that doesn't work, you go to a little bit larger group for it. And what we typically do is go to the entire market day one in the marketing process, where that's when people tend to make better offers when something's new on the market and they've got competition. So I think it's just providing great service and is our value.
Okay, so that makes sense. And so you have a number of brokers in your group. You've grown, right? You've lasted, so you've got some mass. How have you made sure that the people that you're bringing on match that integrity and follow that process?
Yeah, and that's tough. I'll touch on that. But to finish up one other thing I would add, we also sell. I don't want to make it sound we only sell properties under 5 million. We like at the moment we have a $42 million portfolio under contract. We have a $14 million portfolio under contract. We have an $8 million building under contract in Connecticut. We just sold an $8 million building in California. So we sell a lot of larger properties as well around the country and around Atlanta. I think that's one of the tougher things as I've grown the company and as I see companies grow, is keeping that level of service high and that integrity high. And I think it just starts with getting the right people and being very picky about who you bring on. And I think that's what's controlled our size. I think we haven't grown as maybe as much as we should, is that I'm just very, very picky. I want people who are very well trained and have very high integrity and treat everyone in a transaction the way they would want to be treated if they were that person, while keeping in mind who their client is. So it's we do a lot of training, and we tell people up front, hey, if you're a commission chaser, you just care about yourself, don't even start here. It won't work. We will let you go. We've had agents that make a lot of money that we've made leave, when we saw that, that they weren't high enough, didn't have a high enough integrity to use our name.
So you must have a strong culture. Have you done something to be intentional about building that culture? I mean, you talked about training and hiring, but you have it stated, right? Have you stated your points out there?
Yeah, what I've learned as a leader is that you can't do it too often, too much, right? It's just, getting that mission statement and getting those core values out to everyone. You just have to do it over and over and over, and just, make sure they remember and keep to drive it home. So, I think we take care of our people, our employees, and our agents. We have a very pleasant atmosphere and culture that's very helpful. We don't have an office full of office tenant reps or a bunch of just apartment brokers. We have people in enough power in each of those sectors to have power, enough people, but we also just help each other and add a lot of value. So it's not some of the shops that sell commercial real estate can be fairly cutthroat and, very aggressive with making money. And yeah, we want to make money, want to do well, but we also want to enjoy our business and enjoy our office. Our office has a game room with a pool table and darts. And
I saw that. I did see it. It looks like a fun place.
Yeah. And then we have a new station television studio called Studio One, where we do America's Commercial Real Estate Show. And it has glass all around it, facing a really nice cafe with, big screens. And so, we have a very pleasant environment. We have fresh cut flowers, lots of plants, lots and lots of training, a lot of technology and resources. So our agents have a lot of power to help clients, and they're in a nice culture and environment.
Okay, so as far as that environment and the technology, I'm imagining that's kind of evolved over time, particularly the technology. Um, is there anything that you did in there where you wish you had done it a little bit different or maybe a little bit sooner?
I think if I looked at, what could I've done differently or sooner, I think one of my, uh, I guess, challenges is really with recruiting, and that you mentioned before, getting great people with high integrity. And I think if I would have been more aggressive with recruiting, my thoughts are what happens a lot in our business is, an agent starts working at a company, they're brand new to the business. It takes them 2, 3, 4 years to get up to speed. Once they get up to speed, another company goes and entices them with something or a lie, and steals
Yeah.
them, basically recruits them away after someone else has trained them. And I never liked the idea of that. So I've always kind of been probably too passive about recruiting.
Hmm.
And, just so a lot like our top 5 brokers have been here probably 20 years, and they started here. And we have a place where it's the best place for them to be throughout their entire career. But I haven't gone out there and kind of sharpshooted and tried to steal other companies' agents, because I just don't like the idea of it.
Yeah.
But I probably should have and should do more of that to really grow the company if I was going to do anything differently.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I get that you don't want to be hunting, but if you create that culture and people like it, they're going to find you, right? Kind of like a moth to a light. They're going to find
You
it.
hope so, and some do, but there's nothing like being proactive. You need to grow, right?
Right. Yeah. And I think if people overreact to that overture to come switch, then they're more likely to be attracted by the next overture to come get them to switch.
Good
Right.
point.
So I understand the sentiment and I understand what you're saying. I don't know that it's all bad though. Right.
Yeah,
Kind of doing it the right way. You do it the right way, it's going to be good.
right.
So what's changed in the last few years? What have you done different? I mean, you
I
just
don't. I think we just done more of we've added folks. I added an executive assistant, which I should have done a long time ago.
that's a good one.
Um, and and then we've had a really good marketing support. We have really good people here and the support of our brokers, and we continue to improve that and increase the size of our marketing and support staff. And like even this morning, we're creating another new position to help better support our tenant reps, and so they can provide better service to clients. So I think we're just continuing to improve all the time. Our motto inside the company for our staff and me is, we've got to continually improve all the time so that that we stay on top.
Right. I've yet to hear anybody who's added an assistant of some nature, be it virtual, part-time, full-time, who has said, "Oh, that was a bad
Right.
idea." They may say, "Well, that wasn't the right fit," but the
Right.
concept, and myself included, I'm like, "Wow, that it is amazing what happens when you not just the workload, but the mental, the mindset of where you are and what you think about by offloading things that you never should have been doing."
Right.
Right. And I think very few are willing and able to make that leap to increase their capacity. And that's what you're doing. You're increasing the value of your time because you're not doing things that you shouldn't be doing.
Right.
I think it makes you a better communicator too. Right. Because I think all of us, there's things that you start doing and you don't know when you start doing it, you don't know what your end goal is sometimes, right? And whatever the event is or whatever. And now you say, hey, if you're delegating to someone, you have to think through, what am I trying to do here? What are my parameters so that they can go to execute for you?
Right.
And so you can end up being more efficient for yourself as well. Um, well, in your journey, what's the biggest thing you've learned since being a business owner?
I guess the biggest thing I've learned is to be a good trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned to be a good speaker at events. And I've learned how to create and do extremely good training. And I've taken classes on public speaking. I've taken classes on stand-up comedy. I've done stand-up comedy, have
Okay.
taken classes on hosting television shows, and I learned a lot there. And then, so I think that's really, I guess, what I've learned is better presentation, better marketing, and training.
Right. It's interesting. The public speaking, and the comedy's interesting. I'm sure that makes for interesting office discussions. But um, I'm a sports fan, and what I really like is I really like watching the post game interviews, particularly of the elite Division I college coaches.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever listen to the way they speak, it's different. It's completely. I mean, and you realize, and I think I compare that a lot to CEOs, but I feel like there's something about college coaches because they're communicating. They still have to communicate with an 18, 19-year-old. I think people that are CEOs that are in their 50s, 60s forget how to communicate with everybody else. College coaches still have to do it. And they do it, they're very eloquent, but they're very pointed in what they say, and they don't waste words.
Yeah.
Super effective. So when you talked about that public speaking, I think that's an interesting one. Um, it just amazes me. Like people pick on you, whoever college coach you don't like, right? But more than likely, they're a really, really good speaker
Yeah.
in very emotional times.
Yeah.
When it's anyway, I don't know. You kind of just triggered that thought for me.
Yeah.
That's
Well, a
cool.
lot of people in industry say that we have the best commercial agent training in the country, and I would agree with that. I know all the trainers in our industry and have all their stuff, and they've all been on my show. They've all been here, and I saw things that were missing, and so that's probably one of the bigger things I've learned that's really helped my agents and helped them provide better service to clients.
So if somebody's looking to get into commercial real estate, or they are a commercial real estate owner or buyer or whatever, what's the best way to get started with you, either as an employee or a customer? How do they meet and engage?
If they're own commercial real estate, or they have a commercial real estate question about related to their business, they can just pick up the phone and call me, and it doesn't cost anything to have a quick call to see if I can just give them some advice, to have a future relationship potentially with them. And so I urge people just to pick up the phone. We sold a medical office building a few years ago, and the owner had just renewed a lease, and he included a clause in the lease that took about $2 million of value out of the property. And we asked him, so, why didn't you call us before you finalized this lease? You knew you were going to sell it. You knew we were the best to sell it. And he said, well, I just didn't think about it because I didn't have you engaged at the time. So I didn't think about calling you. And I'm like, well, that was a $2 million mistake. We could have helped you with just a phone call to
Right.
discuss, the lease. And so, I just urge people to pick up the phone and call if they want to discuss brokerage as a career, or they want to discuss any type of commercial real estate. And if I'm not the right person to help them, I'll get them to the right person.
That's good advice on anything. My dad's a CPA, and he had people, I didn't call because I didn't want you. They thought the meter would be running, right? It's like, no, the meter's not running. I mean, you just cost yourself a lot by making some bad assumptions. Just
Yeah.
have a circle of advisors and
Right.
ask people. And before you make any big decision, think through who you can ask. So that's a good one. So what's next for your business? What's the next stage?
We our next stage is really just to keep growing, keep adding more staff and more agents, and continue to grow our brand. If the economy starts to continues to slide a little bit here, we may get into a little more of our services that we've done in past downturns, where we work with borrowers and lenders a lot, helping them with troubled loans and troubled properties. We have a tremendous amount of experience in that arena. So if the economy gets bad, then we tend to do more work in the distressed side of real estate. That's buying and selling notes, buying and selling properties, helping borrowers who are upside down on their loans, and
Right.
doing short sales and selling foreclosed properties for the banks, and this all that sort of consulting work. I hope not a lot of that's ahead of us, but there'll probably be some at least.
Yeah, oh, yeah, inevitably there'll be something there, but um, yeah. Well, I was going to pontificate on what I think could happen in the economy, but I'm not an expert, so I'll just hush up. But okay, are there any offers or opportunities for people to engage with? You talked about just calling, but you also talked about your training and your network. What's that all about, and how can people connect with that?
Yeah. So if somebody's interested in commercial agent training, yeah, they can check it out online at commercialagentsuccess.com. And there's 21 1 hour videos. They're cloud accessed, and they're incredible training. They're really designed for experienced commercial agents, except one or two of them, maybe more beginner stages.
Hmm.
But they help any agents of any career. And then for people just interested in commercial real estate as an investment, where they own commercial properties, the America's Commercial Real Estate Show is a very good resource. I interview economists and analysts from the biggest companies in the country. Just did one with the Fed's real estate guy Brian Bailey on his view. Just did one with the U.S. practice leader for Deloitte. They do an annual report with a forecast. So the show is a very, very valuable resource, and it's on everyone's phone. It's on YouTube. So if you just Google America's Commercial Real Estate Show or the Commercial Real Estate Show, it's the biggest show on commercial real estate in the country. It's been on air for 12 years. It was on 60 radio stations. So it's a lot of great information, and you can go to the website, CREshow.com. And at CREshow.com, you can hit the sector button if you're just interested in multifamily, or if you're just interested in retail or whatever, and you can listen or watch shows related to it. So that's a valuable resource, and it's free, and it's when you want to do it, where on any device, so it's convenient.
Yeah, so yeah, that's good. I want to make sure I get that information for when we publish this, because I could see people who think of it as a career, people who want to get into it, right? This could be a good time to get into it, actually, because you're going to learn a lot. But I have a client who he leases, but they're getting ready. The owners are getting ready to sell their business, so they're coming to him. He's bought and sold houses as an individual, but commercial is not the same, right? And for him to go and watch those videos could help him become a smarter consumer, or user of your services.
Yeah.
So, okay, that sounds like a really, really good resource for people. Um, hey, is there anything else you want people to know about Bull Realty that we didn't cover?
No, I don't think so. If we're about to close up, I could tell you an interesting quote that I came up with, if you like.
All right, bring it on.
My first, no, my second boss, when I was running his management company, saw me running in and out of the parking lot, and saw the hours I was putting in, and the motivation level, and I was way more motivated than anyone else at his office. And so one day he called me back in his office, and he asked me that simple question, what motivates you? And it kind of caught me off guard. So I said just what was true from my heart. And I said, well, I just feel like if I do the absolute best job I can at whatever I'm doing, that I'll get more opportunities. And he smiled, and he thanked me and dismissed me. And I walked down the carpeted hallway out of his office, and I thought, damn it, I should have said I was looking for a raise. But, but it wasn't the truth. I wasn't really looking for a raise. I just, so then but because of that, one question and one answer, I've always remembered that, that what I said that day. And to this day, we still have some clients that I worked with when I was 20 years old. And I do believe if you do the absolute best job you can at whatever you're doing, you will get more opportunities.
Agree. That's a good quote. You should have put it on a t-shirt or something.
Yeah.
So no, that's good. Well, I appreciate the time here. If there's anything else you want to share, certainly share it with me, and I'll make sure that it goes out with the video to the folks that we have out here. And again, it's important. There's a lot going on in this space. It's a national thing. You impact nationwide real estate commercial side. So I really appreciate you taking the time to educate us.
Well, glad to be on. Thank you, John.
All right, thank you.